welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Rhythm Sharma, bringing you the biggest flashpoints from a region where wars are not only fought on battlefields, but also behind closed doors. In this episode, we tell you why even after sending warships and the deadliest weapons to West Asia, US President Donald Trump is still not attacking the Islamic Republic of Iran. We decode how there could be a nuclear arms race igniting in the region. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Iran are all eyeing nukes, and how it could stabilize or destabilize West Asia. We also talk about Israel poisoning Lebanese and Syrian farmlands. Both nations accuse Israel of spraying toxic chemicals on border areas and trying to expand control in the region. All this is lined up, but first, the headlines. Iran and the US are both digging in. The world's most advanced armada remains locked and loaded in a high-stakes standoff. Iranian missiles are locked and loaded. Trump is now moving another aircraft carrier to the region. The rhetoric is rising, threats are flying. One wrong move, one miscalculation can ignite a devastating war. Diplomacy is taking place in the shadow of missiles, and the clock is ticking on a decision. Our next story takes a look at why Trump has yet to attack Iran despite thirsting the full military weight in West Asia.
A wall of American hardware is currently churning the waters of West Asia. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is ready to strike. Its flight deck crowded with F-35C Lightning IIS and Super Hornets are ready to strike at a moment's notice. The nuclear-powered warship is flanked by American destroyers loaded with Tomahawk missiles. Now, as Pentagon prepares to deploy a second carrier strike group, a chilling realization has reached the Oval Office. The carrier killer threat is no longer a theoretical exercise. Iran's arsenal of drones, high-speed torpedoes and ballistic missiles has turned the Persian Gulf into a lethal bottleneck. For President Trump, the dilemma is deep. Launching a strike could mean bringing the crown jewel of American military in the crosshair of a swarm of low-cost drones and hypersonic projectiles. Iran also boasts of high-speed torpedoes which can strike at high speeds. As the prospect of another war in West Asia darkens the horizon, a pressing question dominates the debate. How can Iran, battered by decades of sanctions and crippled by Israel and United States, still put up a strong fight? During the 12-day war in June 2025, Israel had undisputed air supremacy over Iranian territory. Iran's air force was virtually non-existent, and its air defense network was methodically dismantled by sustained Israeli strikes. So the perplexing question is that how can a weakened Iran stand up to the combined might of Israel and American military? Iran has learned hard lessons from the June war. It has rapidly replenished its missile arsenal. Iran has several long-range missiles, some of them are hypersonics. Israel knows the pain firsthand. Despite having one of the world's most advanced missile defense systems, it failed to intercept many Iranian missiles. Iran also has thousands of long-range Shahid drones, which have been used by Russia against Ukraine and the Mohajer series of drones. Clearly, Iran is not defenseless and it is not reckless. It has spent decades building a military strategy designed for one purpose: make any attack painfully expensive.
What Iran has that can be used against the United States is much greater than what it has that can be used against the Israeli regime, because its defenses alongside the Persian Gulf are very enormous and diverse. Short-range missiles, medium-range missiles, countless drones, submarines, everything in the Persian Gulf. And on the other side of the Persian Gulf, where U.S. bases exist, can be easily destroyed. This is not a war that the United States can win.
Iran has repeatedly threatened that it could hit U.S. military bases in the region. America has deployed over 40,000 soldiers stationed at nearly 18 military bases. At sea, the equation becomes more dangerous. Analysts say that Iran does not need to destroy a carrier strike group. It needs to cripple one to change the tide of the war. Fast attack boats moving at high speed, armed with rockets and torpedoes, operate in packs. Naval mines can shut shipping lanes within hours. Torpedoes launched from submarines or coastal batteries threaten the most valuable symbols of U.S. naval power. This is the risk that Trump is weighing. Iran has also made its political position clear. In talks facilitated by Oman, Tehran hinted it is prepared to discuss its nuclear program limits, inspections and transparency. But its missile arsenal is off the table, non-negotiable. For Iran, that's the shield against any aggression, and Tehran is unwilling to compromise on its arsenal.
No one can do even the slightest thing against our missiles. Our missiles are not part of the negotiations, and they won't be.
President Trump warns that a second aircraft carrier strike group could be headed to the theater of conflict in West Asia to prepare for military action if negotiations fail.
As you know, we have a massive flotilla right now going over to Iran. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal. I think they'd be foolish if they didn't. We took out their nuclear power last time, and we'll have to see if we take out more this time.
Amid the war frenzy, Tehran says millions marked the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. Images from across Iranian cities. Iranians came out in large numbers, waving national flags. The images of support stood in stark contrast to the wave of protests last month. A clear show of strength for the Iranian authorities.
We accept the negotiations as long as the pride of the nation is protected. If our national pride is to be damaged, we are ready to accept war and continue fighting until an end to Israel and America. We don't fear anything.
As an Iranian, I'm determined to fight this criminal. I'm not afraid of sacrificing my blood. I'd love to fight them.
Iran state-affiliated channels released this AI-generated video depicting a coordinated attack on the U.S. carrier strike group, including the USS Abraham Lincoln. The footage shows missiles, submarines, drones and a torpedo striking the carrier and sailors fleeing. As Washington is pushing Tehran to accept a deal, Vice President J.D. Vance has warned that if talks fail, then there are other options.
At this point, how confident are you in going the diplomatic route? Do you think that is still going to be successful, or we're leaning more towards a military strike?
Well, look, the president's told his entire senior team that we should be trying to cut a deal that ensures the Iranians don't have a nuclear weapon. But if we can't cut that deal, then there's another option on the table. So I think the president's going to continue to preserve his options.
For Donald Trump, backing out carries a hefty political cost, and unleashing firepower carries a strategic risk. A strike may succeed tactically, but the response would not be clean, contained, or brief. Missiles would fly, drones would swarm, shipping lanes could choke, markets would react instantly. This is why the order hasn't been given yet. The world's most powerful military is facing a harsh reality. It cannot bomb away its enemy. Iran's deterrence is built on resilience, numbers, and geographical positioning. A war with Iran would be long and painful. Trump knows that, and therefore the strategic delay. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
A new nuclear shadow is spreading across West Asia. Turkey is now warning that if Iran moves closer to a bomb, Ankara may not stay out of the race. US warns Saudi Arabia could follow suit. The United States is holding talks with Iran in Oman, but also keeping military options on the table. And Israel, long suspected of having nuclear weapons, remains at the center of regional fears. This is no longer just about Iran. This is about a chain reaction that could ignite a full-blown nuclear arms race in West Asia. We tell you what is unfolding.
The warning signs are growing louder and more dangerous. Turkey has delivered a stark message. Ankara does not want a nuclear arms race, but may be forced into one if threats escalate. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan suggested that Turkey would begin developing nuclear weapons if Iran obtains them. The balance of power in West Asia is already fragile, and if one nation gets nukes, then it could trigger a region-wide nuclear domino effect. At the heart of this fear is Iran's nuclear program. The United States is trying to curb Tehran's ambitions, with talks underway in Oman and more rounds expected ahead. With all fingers pointing at Iran's nuclear ambitions, Tehran has time and again maintained that it harbors no ambitions to acquire a nuclear weapon. Iran says that it is ready to cooperate with international agencies for verification of its nuclear facilities.
We are not seeking nuclear weapons. We have announced this over and over that we are ready for any verification. It's the tall wall of distrust that America and Europe have built with their words that stops the talks from leading to results.
But Washington's message is clear. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapon. You know who gets a nuclear weapon like the next day? The Saudi Arabians, and then somebody else in the Gulf Arab state. And so you have nuclear proliferation on a global scale, the biggest threat to security in the world.
And this is where the most dangerous question emerges. Would more nuclear powers create stability through mutual deterrence, or would it turn West Asia into a nuclear flashpoint? Some analysts argue that a nuclear weapon is the ultimate deterrent and would stop the threat of war. But others warn the exact opposite, that more nukes mean increased risks. There is another dimension too. The United States and Saudi Arabia signed an initial civil nuclear cooperation agreement in November 2025. But lawmakers in Washington are sounding alarms that this must not open a pathway to enrichment or weapons capability. Meanwhile, Turkey is pointing directly at Israel, accusing it of possessing nuclear weapons, a claim Israel neither confirms nor denies. Adding to the complexity is that Turkey hosts American nuclear warheads at the Incirlik Air Base under NATO arrangements, even though Ankara has no authority to use them. West Asia is already a volatile region. There are various regional powers jostling to power. Now the shadows of a nuclear bomb is only complicating the regional equations.
The Hezbollah-Israel front is once again simmering, even with a ceasefire on paper. Hezbollah's new leader, Naim Qassem, is vowing that the confrontation with Israel will continue with full force, accusing the West of legitimizing occupation and denying Palestinian rights. At the same time, the United States has unleashed fresh sanctions targeting a gold exchange accused of helping Iran finance Hezbollah. A war of words, a war of money, and a region on edge. Here's the latest.
Hezbollah has delivered a defiant message, making it clear that the group's confrontation with Israel is far from over. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem says the group will continue its resistance to stop Israel from, quote, consolidating power or borders in the region. In sharply worded remarks, he described Israel as a cancerous entity. Hezbollah has accused the United States and Western countries of trying to legitimize what the group has repeatedly called Israel's occupation, while denying Palestinians their rights. Qassem claims that the resistance has withstood Israel for more than 4 decades. The warning comes at a moment when Hezbollah is under its most intense pressure in years, not just on the battlefield, but also in the financial arena. The US announced new sanctions targeting a gold exchange, which it says is helping Iran channel funds to the Lebanon-based group. The US Treasury says the company in question is linked to Al-Qard Al-Hassan. The Hezbollah financial network is already under sanctions. Washington accuses the company of masquerading as a non-governmental organization while keeping Hezbollah's cash flow from Iran alive. US has called Hezbollah a threat to peace and stability, promising to cut the group off from the global financial system. All of this unfolds despite a ceasefire agreement in effect since November 27, 2024. Israel has continued near-daily strikes inside Lebanon, claiming that they are aimed at eliminating Hezbollah threats. Although dozens of Lebanese civilians have reportedly been killed in the Israeli attacks.
The situation in Kafar Kila is more difficult than other villages due to its proximity to the border, but this does not absolve us of our primary responsibility to continue pressing Israel to abide by its commitments to cease military operations.
Hezbollah remains weakened after the 2024 war with Israel, including the killing of its longtime leader Hassan Nasrallah, among other top commanders. Now, with the Lebanese army saying it has completed the first phase of the group's disarmament plan in the south, pressure is growing on Hezbollah to hand over its weapons once and for all.
Don't go anywhere. More about this region after this short break.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
There's a troubling escalation along one of West Asia's most volatile borders. Lebanon is accusing Israel of waging what it calls a chemical war alleging that Israeli aircraft sprayed crop-killing chemicals over border areas. Authorities say Israel is destroying farmlands and threatening long-term environmental damage. Similar claims have also emerged from Syria, where reports say agricultural lands near the Golan Heights are being targeted. If proven, this could mark a dangerous shift. We decode what is happening.
A new and alarming front may be opening in West Asia, not with missiles but with chemicals falling silently from the sky. Lebanon and Syria say Israel has sprayed border villages with extremely concentrated doses of glyphosate. It is a herbicide meant to kill vegetation, not people. Analysts say this is Israel's way of expanding its control over the border areas. Israeli troops have already entered the buffer zone along the Syrian border. Similarly, the IDF has been continuously bombarding southern Lebanon for months now. The Lebanese Ministries of Agriculture and Environment say laboratory tests confirmed the substance, but at levels between 20 and 30 times higher than normal farming use. The result, officials warn, is devastating, fields turning brown, olive groves withering. The spraying reportedly targeted villages including Aita al-Shab, Ramieh and Marwanieh. Residents described seeing thick mists released over their land, followed by rapid crop destruction. President Joseph Aoun called it a flagrant violation of Lebanese sovereignty. He calls it an environmental and health crime and has ordered a formal complaint to the United Nations Security Council. The United Nations peacekeeping force UNIFIL confirmed it was notified by Israel of planned spraying near the border and was advised to take shelter. But this is not limited to Lebanon. In Syria, media outlets are reporting similar allegations. Claiming Israeli aircraft have sprayed chemicals over farmlands near the Golan Heights, damaging crops and disrupting local agriculture in already war-ravaged communities. Farmers there say fields turned barren within days. The impact on civilians is immediate. Southern Lebanon and parts of Syria rely heavily on agriculture. And the loss of crops means the loss of income, food security and survival for thousands of families. There are also growing health fears at such extreme levels. Officials warn of toxic contamination of soil and water for years to come.
In Iran today, gold is no longer about luxury. It is about survival. As inflation soars and the rial collapses, ordinary families are watching their paychecks lose value almost overnight. So even the smallest pieces of gold are now being bought in panic, not for beauty, but for security. After last summer's Israel-Iran war, and with fears of more conflict ahead, the rush to turn cash into gold has only intensified. In a country where trust in the currency has collapsed, gold has become the one thing people still believe can hold their future together.
In Iran economy right now, gold has become more than a precious metal. It has become a refuge. A decade ago, 1 gram of 18-karat gold cost about $26, a small saving that ordinary families could afford. Now, that same gram sells for more than $110, while the minimum wage has dropped to around $80 a month. For many Iranian, cash is no longer safe. The rial is in historic decline, and paychecks lose value before the month even ends. So people are buying gold immediately, not necklaces or luxury sets, but fractional coins, tiny pendants, even gold pins weighing less than a gram. Iranians say they can't bear watching their salary melt away, so the moment they get money, they convert it into gold, even if it's just a small piece. Gold also carries deep cultural importance in Iran. It's a traditional gift for women and children and a central part of weddings. But with prices surging, many families can no longer keep up. Some are renting gold jewelry for ceremonies, others are switching to silver, just to preserve the symbolism. Dealers in Tehran say this is now an economy of panic. People don't want to hold cash even for a day, because tomorrow everything will cost more. Even online gold platforms are booming, despite police warnings about fraud, because fear of losing purchasing power outweighs every other risk. Inflation remains above 30%, bank savings can't keep up, and for millions of Iranians, gold and foreign currency have become the only trusted safe havens left. In Iran, today, gold is no longer about celebration. It's about holding on, one fraction of a gram at a time.
Christians in Yemen have reportedly been forcibly detained by the Houthis. In just the last 3 months, swept up in raids, taken from the streets and homes, and in many cases, simply disappearing. Right groups say families have been left with no answers, no contact, and no information about where their loved ones are being held. And as Yemen faces one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, critics say the Houthis are tightening control not through providing relief, but through fear. We tell you what is happening.
Houthis in Yemen have launched what appears to be a disturbing campaign of arbitrary detention. They are targeting members of the country's small and shrinking Christian minority. This is according to Human Rights Watch. The rights group says more than 20 Christians have been arrested across Houthi-controlled areas since late November, including in the capital Sana'a and the governorate of IBB. The arrests reportedly began in early December before expanding sharply on Christmas Eve, a moment that should symbolize peace, but instead became a night of fear for an already marginalized community. Human Rights Watch spoke to members of Yemen's Christian minority who described raids carried out without warrants, without identification, and without explanation. Some were detained in the streets, others were dragged from their homes as doors were broken down. And in what may amount to enforced disappearances under international law, families have reportedly been given no information about where detainees are being held or why. Human Rights Watch says the detentions come as Yemen faces catastrophic hunger and deprivation, and instead of addressing food and water shortages, the Houthis appear focused on arrests and intimidation. The Christian population in Yemen, once estimated at around 41,000, has dwindled to only a few thousand in recent years, with many fleeing conflict and persecution. Rights groups warn that Christians are not the only targets, with journalists, activists, UN workers, and other minorities also facing arrest across Houthi territory.
Thank you for watching the West Asia Post. I am Rhythm Sharma. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup of stories. For major global updates, keep watching WION World is One.
As the world celebrates the power of love this Valentine's week, we get you a list of our hand-picked rom-com suggestions. Know all about the viral relationship trends of 2026. And find out who's the biggest superstar in showbiz right now. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowan.com.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION. World is One.